Let's talk about the Philippines Tax Administration. There are three governing bodies whose primary functions are related to tax and commerce. But before that, let's have a review of the history of these bureaus. The Bureau of Internal Revenue and the Bureau of Customs are both under the Department of The Bureau of Internal Revenue adheres to Republic Act 8424 or the Tax Reform Act of 1997, which in turn amends the National Internal Revenue Code of 1997. Section 2 describes the powers and duties of the BIR. The law states that it shall comprehend the assessment and collection of all national internal revenue taxes, fees, and charges, and the enforcement of all forfeitures, penalties, and fines, including the execution of judgments in all cases decided by the Court of Tax Appeals and the ordinary courts. The Bureau shall give effect and administer the supervisory and police powers conferred by the Code and other laws. The Bureau of Internal Revenue is headed by the Commissioner of Internal Revenue along with 4 Deputy Commissioners from the Information Systems Group, the Legal and Inspection Group, the Operations Group, and the Resource Management Group. The incumbent Commissioner of Internal Revenue for the Duterte administration is Cesar Dulay. He is an Atenean lawyer who was Duterte's dorm mate when they were studying law in Manila. He also was a volunteer in Duterte's presidential campaign. The Deputy Commissioner for the Operations Group is Nestor Valeroso. He was the BIR Regional Director during former President Benigno Aquino III's term. The Deputy Commissioner for the Legal and Inspection Group is Jesus Clint Arañas. He is a tax lawyer who served as National Treasurer of PDP Laban. He studied law in Silma University and got his degree on commerce in the Philippine School of Business Administration. The Deputy Commissioner for the Information Systems Group is Lani David. She became the lawyer of John Edlin Napoles during the pork barrel scam after Lorna Capunan abandoned her case. Lastly, the Deputy Commissioner for the Resource Management Group of BIR is Celia King. The next topic we'll discuss is the Bureau of Customs. The BOC adheres to Republic Act 1937 or the Tariff and Customs Code of the Philippines. There are 12 primary functions of the BOC inscribed in the law. First, it must assess and collect lawful revenues from imported articles and all other dues, fees, charges, fines, and penalties accumulating under the tariff and customs laws. It must also prevent and suppress smuggling and other frauds upon the customs. Fraud means an intentional concealment, omission, or perversion of truth to gain unlawful or unfair advantage and induce another to part with some valuable item or surrender a legal right or inflict injury in some manner. It must also supervise and control entrance and clearance of vessels and aircraft engaged in foreign commerce. Foreign commerce means an interchange of goods or commodities especially on a large scale between countries called foreign commerce, or between different parts of the same country called domestic commerce. Another general duty of the Bureau is the supervision, control, and regulation of vessels engaged in the carrying of passengers and freight or in towage in coastwise trade and in the bays and rivers of the Philippines. Coastwise trade means domestic trade between ports around the country. The jurisdiction of the Bureau of Customs includes the prohibition and suppression of unnecessary noises such as explosion of gasoline engines, the excessive blowing of whistles or sirens, and other needless and disturbing sounds made by watercraft in the ports of the Philippines or in parts of rivers included in such ports. It must also exclude vessels of more than 150 tons from entering, berthing, or mooring in the Pasig River if the conditions of traffic should at any time require. Another duty is the admeasurement, registration, documenting, and licensing of vessels built or owned in the Philippines, the recording of sales, transfers, and encumbrances of such vessels, and the performance of all the duties pertaining to marine registry. The BOC must also inspect Philippine vessels and have supervision over the safety and sanitation of all of these vessels. Another task under the jurisdiction of the Bureau of Customs is the enforcement of lawful quarantine regulations for vessels entering Philippine ports. The enforcement of the tariff and customs laws and all other laws, rules, and regulations relating to the tariff and customs administration. The licensing of marine officers who have qualified in the examination for them to be carried on Philippine vessels, and also the determination of the qualification of pilots and the regulation of this service and the fixing of the fees which they may charge. Lastly, the customs must also supervise and control the handling of foreign mails arriving in the Philippines for the purpose of collection and the lawful duty to prevent smuggling through the medium of such mails. Now, let's talk about the organizational structure of the Bureau of Customs. It also has a commissioner and 6 other deputy commissioners who are representing different groups. The deputy commissioner for the operations group is Nestor Valeroso. He was the BIR regional director during former President Benigno Aquino III's term. The deputy commissioner of the internal administration group is Arturo La Chica. He was recently slain in an ambush along España Boulevard. He had held the position of Deputy Commissioner for IAG since the Aquino administration. The Deputy Commissioner for Revenue Collection and Monitoring Group is Natalio Ecarma III. He is the former Undersecretary for Operations at the Department of National Defense and a former Force Commander of the United Nations Disengagement and Observer Force. He is holding the position since the Aquino administration. The Deputy Commissioner for the Intelligence Group is Teddy Raval. He won in his position because of influence coming in from the Iglesia Ni Cristo. He is a former Enforcement and Security Service Director of BOC. The Deputy Commissioner for the Enforcement Group is Ariel Nepomuceno. The law states that the Bureau of Customs shall have the right of supervision and police authority over all seas within the jurisdiction of the Philippines and over all coasts, ports, airports, harbors, bays, rivers, and inland waters navigable from the sea. There are three objectives under the jurisdiction of the Court of Tax Appeals. The CTA shall exercise exclusive appellate jurisdiction to review by appeal and jurisdiction over cases involving criminal offenses and tax collection cases. Before I leave, let me quote Oliver Wendell Holmes Jr. Taxation is the price we pay for a civilized society. Bye!